Before I get into the topic and the details, I want to share with you two exciting events coming up. On this coming Sabbath, we'll be having our worship services. And on Sunday, it's going to be our health seminar, Bible health seminar, medical missionary health seminar. So please, friends, if you're in the area, please join us on Sabbath as we plan to go and distribute the materials to invite the folks in the neighborhood to come out on Sunday. The links for everything will be posted in the description and the pinned comment below. Now, I want to put something on the screen here. On the screen, you have one of several of our brochures. This is the health brochure, and this will be distributed on tomorrow in the community. And of course, the link will be placed below. So please join us here in Marietta, Georgia for this all-important evangelism. Our second health brochure is addressing mental healing, physical healing, and spiritual healing. Christ performed those on the Sabbath. As you can see, mental, physical, and spiritual healing on the Sabbath. This is a timely, important brochure that must be placed in the hands of the individuals. It combines health, healing with the Sabbath. It's all connected. This is as a symbol of true evangelism. The right arm with the third angel. The Sabbath controversy, the issue over worship with health and healing in one brochure. And please, this is going to be posted shortly via a particular link. Stay tuned for that. Well, friends, let's get into it. I had something different to cover today, and then this news broke that Ganoune Diop is no longer the PARL director, and Nelu Burcea has now been voted in as PARL director. So today we have Diop voted out, Burcea voted in. And what we are seeing is, as it relates to that new current event, is that we want new blood. One more time. We want new blood, or else. Or else. You may be asking, or else what, Pastor? Stay tuned, and I will confirm that question. We want new blood, or else. Let's continue here, friends. So here we have it. Breaking news. Nelu Burcea elected as GC Public Affairs and Religious Liberty Director. I want you all to note that means Diop is no longer PARL director. Let's focus here on who Nelu Burcea is. This is from the ANN article, Adventist News Network, and it tells us that he has now been voted in for the next 5 years. 2025, 2030. And friends, at the very inception, I want to say this. When I say we want new blood, what I'm saying is, if Nelu Burcea is coming in as PARL director to continue the apostate mission of Ganoune Diop, we want new blood. Not 5 years more, not 5 more years of apostasy. We want new blood, or else. Stay tuned. What do I mean by or else? Now, take a look at when he joined the General Conference and the PARL department. He joined in the year 2015. So that means he has been around since 2015. 2025. And now he's brought in as PARL director. Ganoune Diop, right off your screen, is now booted out. Now, I want to ask a question. Because I know Safe to Serve family, we're all critical thinkers here. Question. Why was Ganoune Diop voted out? Option A, was it because he was too old? Age? Option B, was there a term limit? Term limit. Term limit. Has he exceeded term limit? As far as I know, I've not seen a term limit. There could be one. I've not seen one. If you have, you send that to me. Why was he voted out? Number 3, or was it because of great backlash, pushback against his apostasies? The protest was becoming way more successful, effective, and they simply said, let's move him off the scene. New face, new facade. Which of those 3 options do you think? Let's move on here. Let's analyze carefully this man called Nelu Burcea. Notice, he was PARL Associate Director. Let's stop it right there. So my friends, this man was PARL Associate Director from 2015 to 2025. And now he is the director of that department. I have several questions. So for the past 10 years, was Nelu Burcea a part of Ganoune Diop's apostasies? Was he with him in those meetings? And if he were not a part of Ganoune Diop's apostasies, where are his public protests, public rebukes for Ganoune Diop's apostasies? Where are they? Because Diop's apostasies were public. And neutrality, indifference, and silence make you a part of the apostasies. Nelu Burcea? These are questions we must ask. And if he were not, then why did he not resign? If he was not with Ganoune Diop and his apostasies, why did he not resign? Questions we must ask. And as we are moving forward, since he has now been brought in 2025, is he going to publicly roll back the apostasies Ganoune Diop implemented? Let me give you something you can relate to. In 2020, Biden was brought in as president of the US. He began to roll out executive orders to roll back Trump's policies. Trump returned in 2024 and began to do what? Roll back Biden's policies, some of them through executive orders. So if Nelu Burcea is not a part of Diop's apostasies, what should he now do? Because Ganoune Diop brought the SDA church steep into apostasy. What must he now do? If he's going to continue the agenda of Ganoune Diop, we want new blood or else. And please don't call that a threat. We want new blood or else. Or else what? Stay tuned. Today, I want us to have a mock confirmation hearing of Nelu Burcea. This is Mr. Burcea stating that he was the liaison for the SDA organization to the UN. To what? To the UN. Are you telling me this is the same UN that ADRA is a part of? And as a result of ADRA, SDA, being a part of the UN, they cannot proselytize? And Nelu Burcea, at that time, was a part of PARL department? Here it is.
will understand ADRA is doing a wonderful work in the name of Jesus. Yes, as they take funds from governments, that requires a careful approach in how you use the money and what you can say while you're distributing the funds and the goods that come from those funds.
You cannot proselytize. Again, why did they remove Ganoune Diop and bring in Burcea? If it were because of the protest against Diop's apostasies, and those who embolden him are also guilty, GC leaders, i.e. Ted Wilson, Ayrton Kohler, Paul Douglas. If I were there, my first question before he would be confirmed, if he were to be confirmed, would be this. Do you agree with ADRA being a part of the UN? And the SDA org being a part of the UN? And the subsequent question is going to be, do you agree with ADRA not being able to proselytize because they are connected to the UN? Come back here. In print, these are the words of Nelu Burcea in blue. My role is to generate strategic contacts within the UN and to protect the image of the SDA church, the church, in the international context. These are his words, not my words. His role and objective as a PARL director is to protect the image of the SDA organization on the international scene, because the PARL director, if you did not know, represents every SDA department to the world. Again, because now I'm going to make the application. Again, he said his role is to protect the image of the SDA organization. Here would be my statement in this mock confirmation hearing of Nelu Burcea to be voted in as director of PARL. Are you aware, Mr. Burcea, that those were the same words of Ganoune Diop as he promoted apostasies as PARL director? And then I would play the video clips of Ganoune Diop saying that he wants to protect the image of the SDA organization in the eyes of the world. He wants to preserve the credibility of the SDA organization to the world. Under that cover, Ganoune Diop promoted abominations. So what will Nelu Burcea do? Here it is. Beloved, on the screen. You know what? I'll come back to that. Watch this.
What is really at stake is the credibility of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the public space.
What is at stake is what? The credibility of the SDA organization in the public space. Let me say this, friends. You may think that those words from Ganoune Diop are simply word salad. Take a look at the screen right now. The top right corner of your screen, this is the PARL department's website. It reads, top right in the red box, we work to position the Seventh-day Adventist Church and its services to a standing of credibility. Do you see it now? Trust and relevance in the public realm. That's it right there. So to protect and preserve the image of the SDA organization, the credibility of the SDA organization, under that cover with those words, Ganoune Diop promoted apostasy. Mr. Burcea, what are you going to do? Ganoune Diop.
Another organization cannot decide for us. Impossible. This freedom is therefore protected. No need to worry whatsoever. We Seventh-day Adventist leaders who mingle with this group, the Conference of General Secretaries of Christian World Communions, since 1957, we share our remarkable portfolios of services so that they know that we are assets to society.
Do you see it now? So Diop said he forms ecumenical alliances with Babylon, the religions of the world, which includes Roman Catholicism, popery, which includes apostate Protestants. And he says he does that so they may know we SDA leaders are an asset to the world. What? Did Christ do that? Where in the Bible, Sister White writings, are we told to do that? To protect our image, credibility, so the world may know we are an asset. That is apostasy. And then I would say to Mr. Nelu Burcea, do you agree with Ganoune Diop's statements and actions? Mercy. If he says yes, he would not have my vote, because he would be continuing the apostasies of Ganoune Diop. And today we say we want new blood. All right. I'm just getting warmed up now. If he would say, I don't agree with Diop's statements right here, then I would say, would you sever the ties PARL has had with Babylon since, quote, 1957, end quote. Those were the words of Diop a few moments ago. 1957. Between 55 and 57. I don't want to get into that right now. Will you sever the ties publicly now? If not, you don't have my vote. And he would be trembling if I were to cast the tiebreaker, the deciding vote. He would not have my vote. Do you know, I see something very sinister in Diop's statements right there. All in the name of image and protecting credibility, we would form ecumenical alliance with Babylon. Do you know in the book of John chapter 11, verse 47 through verse 53, it was under the same sentiment the Jews said we must kill Jesus. They said we must protect our nation, and to do so, get rid of Jesus, crucify him. They went against God's word to protect their image, credibility with Rome. That's Bible. This is about ecumenical alliance from former PARL leaders and former General Conference presidents. The first sentence is about SDAs forming ecumenical alliances with Babylon. Everybody, as I read the next few words, weep. Look at what it says in the middle. Others, including the Roman Catholic Church, are seriously taking note of who we are, and they are asking, quote, what is it that makes you, SDA, such a growing community? End quote. Therefore, since they are saying, come talk to us, we would like to know a little more about you, end quote. We must be willing to talk with Roman Catholic leaders and share with them our vision and mission, end quote. That's PARL, objective. Sharing SDA secrets, vision, and mission. Wait a minute, with Babylon? But Roman Catholics, these are the hard, riveting questions that must be posed to Nelu Burcea before we give him a vote of confidence. Do you know what many SDA people, elders, pastors, medical missionaries, etc. say right now? Let's simply accept Nelu Burcea. Just give him a chance. You'll find those statements, similar statements, on various posts on social media right now. Under Nelu Burcea, new PARL director. Give him a chance, because none of them wants to ask the true, real questions. They want to put their heads in the proverbial sand. What do you mean, give him a chance? Question, is there a track record? Question, is Nelu Burcea an outsider? Or has he been an insider? I mean, give the man a chance. Before we give him a chance, ask the questions. You all would accept nothing less if it was in a different arena, different issues. When it comes onto the SDA organization, we change position, sentiments, or stances, because it's a sign you have all been brainwashed by puppet masters in the SDA organization. Now, what I just read were simple words written down. But did Ganoune Diop verbally say similar words? Watch this. Here's Diop now. In 2024. Listen about him saying sharing.
Since 1957, we share our...
Since when? Listen again.
Since 1957, we share our remarkable portfolios of services so that they know that we are assets to society, blessings to our communities through concrete engagement in, for example, health, including health clinics, education, university.
Do you see it now? He's on record stating the PARL department does do that. Based on what he just said, it's evident why the GC leaders, PARL department, made the stance or took the stance during the pandemic. They had to side with Babylon, promote Babylon's sorcery, Babylon's inoculation, so Babylon may know we are credible, so Babylon may know we are an asset, so we can save our image to the world. You see? Some of you don't want truth. And that's why some of you despise Safe to Serve platform. You don't want the truth. Chapter 30 of Isaiah. What did they say to God's prophet, true prophet? Prophesy not unto us right things, not unto us truth. Prophesy unto us smooth things. Prophesy deceit. Go read it, my friends. Isaiah 30, the whole chapter. Prophesy deceit. Get you out of the way. We don't want Safe to Serve. We don't want prophesy again. We don't want to hear Pastor Enriquez because you want lies, deceit. Let's see. Let's see what? May I ask you a question? What if Ganoune Diop, watch this, what if Ganoune Diop was not voted out? What if he was retained as PARL director? I wonder how many people right now would say, let's give him a third chance. Let's give him a third chance. How many would say that? And why would you not say that? Because you have history. You see my point? Who was Nelu Burcea? Watch this now. Who was Nelu Burcea? Nelu Burcea was actually Associate Director of PARL. Watch this. In the same time period of Ganoune Diop. Watch this. Allow me to prove this. In red, it says this. Since joining the General Conference in 2015, that's Nelu Burcea, 2015. This article was printed July 8, 2025. So Nelu Burcea brought in 2015. I want you all to note this now. This is Ganoune Diop. When did he become PARL director? Look at the words in the red box. First paragraph on the left. July 2015. He was voted in as PARL director. My friends, so both men serve concurrently. 2015, Nelu Burcea. 2015, Ganoune Diop. One is associate, one is director. And now you're saying, give him a chance? I believe in the phrase, give people a chance. So don't misquote me. I believe in the statement, give people an opportunity. People can change. Do not misquote me. I believe in that. What I don't agree with is people being willfully blind at history. Recent history. The track record is there. And if he did not agree for the last decade, where were the public statements of disagreement? Watch this. If he was unwilling, Burcea, to publicly go on record to vote no against Diop's apostasy, how can he be trusted with great responsibility? To say no in a time of greater pressure. If you aren't faithful in the least, you can't be in great responsibilities. Scratch your head. That is a fact. So I believe in giving people opportunities. People can change. But today, what is the weather forecast? Don't tell me about weather 2 months from now. Pastor, I went on Google. It says this is a 30-day weather forecast. Can that change? That's 30 days from now. What is the weather forecast today? Watch this. Let me move on here. Here it is now.
If we go after people's faith, it is irresponsible with accusing other people, but rather we are witnesses, not even God's lawyers. We have to remember, we are a restorationist movement, not a sectarian, violent breed of believers, closet terrorists, in fact.
I would then present to Mr. Burcea a statement he made in Jamaica. This year, 2025, he was a keynote speaker in Jamaica. And this is what he said, quote, skip on down, red words. Negative portrayals of religious groups reinforce division and marginalization. He said, adding that such rhetoric can escalate into direct persecution. Mr. Burcea, were these your words printed in Adventist Review, February, what's that day, preacher? February 21st of this year? Were those your words? Mr. Burcea, these words sound very similar to Mr. Diop. That we should not negatively portray other religious groups because that will lead to division? Are these your words? If he were to say yes, I would ask him, does the third angel's message and the second negatively portray Roman Catholicism and apostate Protestantism? Yes or no would be an accepted answer. You see my point, friends? This statement, if not qualified, would be the same as Ganoune Diop. And we want new blood. This statement would actually nullify the three angels' messages of Revelation 14. We want new blood. Notice now, he said right here, if you negatively portray other religious groups, you would become a persecutor. Those are the words of Ganoune Diop, calling faithful SDAs, the small group, closet terrorists. You think about that. Mr. Burcea, do you agree with those statements? Are these your statements? These are questions I would pose before he gets my vote and before I say on Facebook, before I say on websites of SDAs in comment section. Give him a chance. Look at the public record. This year, Mr. Burcea, since you stated, if we negatively portray other groups, churches, it brings division. So now, do you believe SDAs must unite with Babylon? Please qualify, because on the surface, your statements imply that fact. Never you speak ill of the false teachings, not people, false teachings, false doctrines of religions, including Roman Catholic leaders and apostate Protestants. Do you believe we must unite with them? Do you agree with Diop's statements? Here it is.
What is meant, Jesus has an ecumenical mission, meaning that he wants to gather, for example, for religious liberty. Everybody knows that during the Middle Age, the Catholic Church did not live according to that principle. But to be fair to the Catholic, it changed in 1965. People ought to know that we can be kind. I can meet a bishop, so what? I mean, even the Pope is just another person for me. Some people...
So these are questions I would ask him before he got my approval and before I simply say, let's give him a chance. Sister White writes, when we reach the standard the Lord would have us reach, worldlings will regard Seventh-day Adventists as odd, singular, straight-laced extremists. That simply means the label Ganoune Diop placed on the faithful, present truth SDAs, is a fulfillment of end-time prophecies. That means Ganoune Diop, and by extension, Nelu Burcea, were on and are on the opposite side of this statement. They are not the group, the faithful group, called odd, singular, straight-laced extremists. They are the ones who are guilty of apostasy, promoting it, being silent when it's public. They're the ones that will label us closet terrorists.
Some request letters of exemption while being sensitive, of course, to the predicament and hardship of those who choose not to be vaccinated, the church has chosen not to issue exemption letters based on the prudence of not impinging upon the realm of state authority.
And then I would present to Mr. Burcea, do you agree and did you agree? Did you and do you agree with Diop's statements? Do you agree with the statement from the reaffirmation statement? This statement says, all SDAs must submit to the government. Context, the pandemic. Do you agree with that statement? Did you? Do you? Because if he says yes, we want new blood. Watch this. The statement said from the GC leaders, SDAs on one hand have the right to choose. On the other hand, they cannot reject Babylon's sorcery, Babylon's elixir by using religious liberty as their defense. It's right there. Mr. Burcea, do you agree with the statement? On record. Now, here is where I would present his words to him. Mr. Nelu Burcea, were you in Jamaica in the month of January and or February of this year? Okay. Were these your words? Quote, he says this, we cannot turn a blind eye to the suffering of millions of individuals around the world who are persecuted for simply holding a belief. The right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion is non-negotiable. It is a fundamental human right that must be upheld by all without exception. Stop it right there, my friends. Did you all catch it? Those of you who are live in the comment section, did you all catch it? If you say yes, what points it out to you? As you compare the 3 paragraphs before and this statement on the screen. Mr. Burcea said, no person should be prohibited from publicly demanding freedom based on their religious liberty, and that there should be no exception. But in the reaffirmation statement from General Conference leaders, did they make an exception? Preachers, people don't want truth. Look at your screen one more time. What is that? Submit to the government. Next paragraph. You can't use religious liberty as your defense in the pandemic. So the pandemic was their exception. But Mr. Burcea said without exception. Both can be right. I believe it with all my heart. People don't want truth. People don't want truth. They don't want it. They don't want it. They want to turn a blind eye to facts. How could you make that statement publicly and not one Jamaican leader say, wait a minute, but your church made an exception. And that exception caused your own people to lose employment, lose their livelihood, and even die. What you're saying, what your church did are two different things. You can do nothing against the truth, only for the truth. So what about all these people now on social media, SDAs? Give them a chance without looking at the track record. If that's the case, then let Diop remain for 5 more years. Give him a chance. Give Diop a chance again. 5 more years. No, we want new blood. Now watch this. Come back to the statement. The last sentence. After saying without exception, hear what he said. Religious minorities often face barriers to education, employment, healthcare. In the pandemic, what happened? Did the people, even SDAs, that rejected Babylon sorcery, were many of them barred from continuing their education? Yes. Were many of them barred, laid off, fired, employment terminated? Yes. Were some people barred from receiving health care? Some people could not receive operations because they rejected Babylon sorcery. The statements, shall I say, incongruent?
Adventists have freedom of conscience to. However, that doesn't mean that the church has to stand for the person.
Okay. Here are the words of Mr. Burcea, Nelu, on the PARL website. PARL advocates for religious freedom. This department represents the church in legal matters and supports members facing religious discrimination. So why did the church not stand up for its own people? So Mr. Burcea, did you agree? Do you agree with the words you just heard from your head, Ganoune Diop, a few moments ago? If you did not, where was your public protest? Why not resign? If you did, you, sir, don't have my vote. We want new blood. It's very clear, my friends. How could you say no exception? Without exception. But your department made an exception that caused your own people to die, lose everything. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you are hypocrites. Matthew 23, verse 2 and verse 3. Because you say and do not. Beloved, I've been saying all throughout this lesson, Diop voted out. Burcea voted in. We want new blood or else. Here is where I'm going to confirm it now. We want new blood or else. That statement comes from Spirit of Prophecy. They're not my words. This statement says, I'm going to read the last line first, then give it a context. But when we see, but one more time, but when we see message after message that God has given, has been accepted, but no change, just the same time as it was before, then it is evident that new blood must be brought into the regular lines. That's it, friends. And the regular lines is the General Conference organization. Regular lines, new blood. Many of these men have never prayerfully, they don't study prayerfully, diligently, the Bible and the Spirit of Prophecy. We want new blood. That's it. Perfect. So if Mr. Burcea agreed with Diop, we want new blood, don't tell me, give him a chance. when the track record is clear. He should not get our vote of confidence now until he answers the questions. Now, can politicians tell you what you want to hear? Do politicians tell people what they want to hear? Do church leaders do the same? They do. But at least we did due diligence. At least we inquired. At least we probed. At least we put them on the hot seat and make sure we interrogated them. Such a hot seat that when they get up, Mr. Burcea, the seat is wet and have a smell on that seat. And no deodorizer, no washing can remove the pungent smell from that seat. But it must be discarded. Again, I say, God, we need new blood. Now watch this. Or else what? Friends, this statement has a context. It was a call from the Lord through Sister White to reorganize the structure of the SDA movement so that there would not be a kingly power. Watch this. Here's a fact. The fact is, they restructured departments of the SDA organization. But later on, the ingredient of the kingdom power revived. And to this day, it is still present, the kingly power. So they may change the structure, but the kingly power is still here. And as long as you see that, what must be our cry from God? Statement, we need new blood. Or else. All right? Or else what? Watch this now. Let's answer it. The blue words in the middle is the answer. We have heard enough abundance about that. Quote, when Sister White puts this in quote, that means it was somebody she was quoting. Men she was quoting. Everything must go around in the regular way. Are there statements today saying everything must be connected to the general conference, division conferences, union conferences, local conferences? Everything must go around in the regular way, end quote. She says, when we see the regular lines are altered, purified, and refined, and the God of the heavens mold is upon the regular lines, then it is our business to establish the regular lines. We need new blood or else we are not going to establish and promote the regular lines. First sentence, there was a narrow compass here. There within that narrow compass is a kingly ruling power. That's it right there. We want new blood. Watch this. This king-like power would make you all slaves. A king-like power removes religious liberty. On this issue, when the GC leaders, Ted Wilson, Paul Douglas, Erton Kohler, Ganoune Diop, at that time, Nelu Burcea, Mark Finley, Mr. Bryant of NAD, they all said you cannot use religious liberty as your defense to reject Babylon's panacea. That was one way of them revealing the king-like power They stripped away your liberty of conscience. We want new blood, or else we're not going to establish the regular lines. Those aren't my words. Paul said, am I therefore become your enemy? Because I have told you all the truth. Am I therefore your enemy? Because I've told you the truth. Beloved, I'm telling you, it's serious. And that's why I had to come for Midday Power Surge. Because people are so gullible. They're so brainwashed. They don't look at evidences, track record. But on other issues in the Bible, let's go back to the type. Hold on. Let's see the type. Old Testament, let's make the right application. But now we have a serious issue. Important department. And all we can say is give him a chance, but don't look at the track record. Let's put him on a hot seat. That's it. That's it. Let's continue. Friends, I want you all to note the reference. Spalding and McGann, page 163, paragraph 1. Last sentence, we want new blood, or else we're not going to establish the regular lines, the conference, organization. And that's why God has to raise up churches not connected to the SDA organization. We want new blood. That doesn't mean every church ministry not linked to the SDA organization has new blood. They have putrefied blood. Don't miss that. That's why we must study for ourselves and ask God for discernment. You see? You tell people, discern which church is the right church. If you say discern which church is the right church, you aren't speaking about four walls. You are speaking about the pastor, right? And the elders, right? Yet Nelu Burcea is brought in as PARL director. And if I say we must examine, we must discern, you say I am the devil. You can't make this up. You're inconsistent, which means you have ulterior motive. This reference here, it's also repeated, but the words are different. This one says, we need new blood. This one says, we want new power. Mercy. This is General Conference Bulletin, April 10, 1903, paragraph 3, last sentence. But when we see that message after message, given by God, has been received, accepted, yet no change has been made, we know that new power must be brought into the regular lines. We want new blood. We want new power. Or else, don't establish the regular lines. It's right there in red in the middle. Don't establish the regular lines. Beloved, this thumbnail showed you Burcea, new PARL director, and the outgoing Ganoune Diop, Ted Wilson. And you see he's outgoing and Mr. Ayrton Kohler. Have we not been showing you that in this context, Ayrton Kohler is coming in as the new GC president, and the plan is to continue the same position of Elder Ted Wilson. So what must we now cry? We want new blood. It's very clear. Here it is.
But I want to strongly urge, and I have the consent and agreement of my fellow officer, Ayrton Kohler, my other fellow officer, Paul Douglas.
And the next clips, I won't replay them. They were done on Friday, Sabbath, and this week, on Monday. Ayrton Kohler is actually saying he still believes in the Pestilence 19 inoculation. So he is a continuation of Ted Wilson. And it appears that Nelu Burcea is also a continuation of the Apostasies of Diop. New face, but same business. New paint on the wall, but same operation of apostasy. That's the clips. I won't. We need new blood. And then I want to point you to our brochure. Come on. This is what I want to talk about. Aggressive, effective evangelism, friends. Mental, physical, and spiritual healing on the Sabbath. On the Sabbath. On the Sabbath. On the Sabbath. And once they open it, first page, right here, first page, right here. They will begin to read statements and scriptures, watch this, that connect health with the Sabbath. Health with the Sabbath. Health with the Sabbath. And then it goes into the commandment of the Sabbath. The third angel's message. That's it, my friends. True worship and healing. First angel, third angel, it's all right here. Reaching people where they are. Medical missionary evangelism. The church missed the opportunity. Babylon sorcery, when they could have mobilized SDAs worldwide to present true medical missionary evangelism. So friends, I'll post a link below. And again, please join us this coming Sabbath, Marietta, Georgia, for aggressive evangelism. And the church in Orlando, Florida, will have also the brochures to go and evangelize this coming Sabbath. And then, I left the other brochure. And then we are going to point to the health meeting this coming Sunday, or a health seminar this coming Sunday, July 13, beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern to about 6:30 p.m. So please, friends, please, pass this out. Print them off, share them, and also use social media and spread the word. The work is going forward. We need new blood. And blood is likened unto new wine. New wine. New wine. Grape juice. New blood spiritually. New blood physically. The life of the flesh is where? In the blood. New blood. New blood. At headquarters, new blood. Or the whole body suffers spiritually. New blood. And that's why we must combine this with true gospel medical missionary evangelism. So people can know how to cleanse their blood, cleanse organs, cleanse the skin, cleanse the cell with prayer and fasting. The laws of health, they can live based on God's word. Again, friends, see you all this coming Sabbath here in Georgia and on Sunday for our health seminar.